Hey everybody, welcome to the Leader Lab. This is Leadership Shorts, quick thoughts to help you level up your leadership. My name is Chad Wright. I'm the founder of Forward Partners, and I am joined by my partner in podcasting, Emily Graysdale. Emily, what are we talking about today?
I have a question for you.
Okay, let's jump in.
When people on my team act irrationally, I'm not sure how to lead them. Can't we all act like adults and just get things done?
Can't we all just get along? You know, it's funny. We've kind of had a series of episodes about the complexity of leading people. And I think this one is a lot about that idea of, you know, people do act irrationally sometimes. I think we do that. Like we'll be having a bad day and we just kind of blow up at something, or we act irrationally to our family, or whatever it looks like.
You know what it makes me think of is like you just want like an instant replay for things. So you can be like, if you could just see what just happened, maybe you would do it differently. Like,
yeah, if you could just see how you just acted,
how irrational
you're
being. Like,
and
that's not how it works, but
it happens all the time though, where somebody will react badly to something. But oftentimes, like we've talked about, that creates these problems in leadership, and so we then have to go deal with it. We have to wrestle through what's going on.
Right.
And I think part of that is really keeping in mind that when someone acts like that, when someone is really in a rough spot, it has almost nothing to do with whatever the circumstance is, right?
Right.
They're mad at someone about something he did. It's not really always about that. There's always so much underneath it. And the way we think about it is there's a lot behind it, too. It is not just about the present, it's about the past.
Right.
You are dealing with everything that human being has been through up to that moment that has shaped who they are.
Yeah.
And it may be something that is very specifically, it scares them. It's something that is hitting them badly based on their past.
Yeah.
And that can get a little overwhelming as a leader, I think, to think about that and to be like, I got to keep, we talked a few episodes back with Brene Brown. We talked about Brene Brown. You're going, where was I that episode?
I missed it.
We talked about Brene Brown and that quote she has about you got to spend a reasonable amount of time dealing with people's fears and feelings.
Yeah.
And part of this is find what's underneath the problem. What's that deeper thing? What's that past thing? Not that we're going to fix everybody. Not that leaders are suddenly therapists.
Right. We're not here to break it all down and solve all your life issues. But acknowledging just in itself that you're not mad someone stole your pen or whatever bigger issue that may be, there is probably some other issue you aren't identifying.
Yes.
And then working through that in a way to where we can at least identify it, to where you can get by it.
And a lot of it comes down to even personality, and we do a lot of work with that. And so understanding your people and their histories and what fear centers they have becomes incredibly valuable. We always talk about Enneagram and having like an Enneagram 8 as an example. They have a core fear of being controlled or harmed by other people. And so if I very clumsily or badly try to exert control over an 8, they are not going to take that well.
That's what I was going to say. What seems irrational to one person can seem totally rational
100%.
to another.
Yes.
And so that bringing Enneagram into it is a huge piece of that, because if you know the fear or what's driving somebody, then you're able to say, okay, so this isn't irrational to you. That's just where you're coming from.
Yeah, when you're an 8's a good example. So if they have that fear, if I don't lead well and I try to take control of something or whatever it is, they're going to react badly to that. Well, now we're dealing with that past, right? But to know what that fear is and say, okay, instead of trying to control this situation, I'm going to go to them and I'm going to empower them and I'm going to partner with them to do something.
Right, that makes
and it
sense.
is way better. You're going to have a way better outcome doing that, right? And so I think that's an interesting thing to think about, is really trying to find what's underneath the problem, because otherwise we spend all our time dealing with surface stuff, right? We deal with the fact that, Carl's mad about his project. Again, it's Carl Day. I don't know what's up with that, but Carl's mad his project got canceled or moved or whatever it is. But there's something underneath that usually. And if we can figure out what that is and become skilled at that, that becomes really helpful.
Yeah, and it actually takes a lot less time. I mean, maybe a little more time in figuring out what it is, but you're not going to have this drawn-out issue forever.
In the long run,
that
it does take less time. Yeah, and that's a good example of invest a reasonable amount of time in the fears and feelings so you don't invest an unreasonable amount of time in the unworkable, habits and all the other things, because you're right about that. It is long-term. You're going to save so much time. But this is also, when we think about, as leaders, part of our role is to help people grow. And part of helping people grow is being able to get past the past, being able to get past those things that hold us back inside, those things that stop us from progressing.
Right. We haven't even identified that it's really an issue.
Yeah. And if we can't spot those, we can't actually help people grow. And so this is something to think about, is really just, when somebody is being irrational, are you taking that full view? Because those days where you do have someone acting irrationally, I think about it in terms of leadership. I think about it in terms of organizations, but also like if you think about it at home, like you got a 2-year-old, and so a 2-year-old is going to act irrational 90% of the time, right? And it really,
again, it seems very rational to them.
It seems very rational to them, and it has almost nothing to do with that current moment all the time, right? And so I think it's funny to think about it in that context.
You normally need a nap or a snack, so.
Okay, so leaders, if you're dealing with irrational team members, you can deal with the past, or you can give them a snack and a nap, and they're probably going to be better. That's actually not a bad piece of advice.
I was going to say.
But leaders, I would encourage you, outside of the nap and snack time, before you start throwing goldfish at your people, start to think about where they've been. Start to think about what you know about them and their history, and really see where can you dig into that a little bit in order to help, in order to see what's underneath the reactions, that it is not about today, it's about the past. So I would just encourage you to kind of think about that if you're dealing with some of those more irrational team members. And listen, if that doesn't work, just start chunking goldfish. You'll be fine.
Solid solution.
It's always a solid solution to almost any problem when you think about it. That'll de-escalate a situation real quick because they're like, what are you doing? All right, Emily. If people want to send us ideas, questions, problems, anything, goldfish maybe, I wouldn't say no to some of those. Where do they send that to?
lab@forwardpartners.net.
lab@forwardpartners.net. If they want to engage with all the content we're putting out around the idea of leadership, where do they find us?
@forwardpartner.
@forwardpartner, all the major socials. Yep. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for the knack and snap idea.
That's
snap and
that's like a new tagline.
Snack and nap idea. We're done with this one. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ben, thank you for producing. Wilco Workspaces, thank you for partnering with us on this podcast. We will see you next time right here in the Leader Lab for Leadership Shorts.